Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 11 of What If Naruto Was the Legendary Neglected Uzumaki. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the rest of the What Ifs coming your way over on Anime King 2 and Anime King 3. Yes, if you're new, you heard that correctly. I indeed have 3 channels. Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. So go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. And yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, everyone was there. As the Kumo ninjas were there, all of them, the civilians, ready to watch the finals of the Chunin exams. Minato was currently in the Kage's booth, along with the Raikage and the Tishikage. The Tishikage only he did not hide his disdain for Minato or Konoha at all. As the Raikage made a deal with Minato, if Naruto passed through, then he will apologize for what happened. Yes, verbally, and also pay compensation to Konoha if Yujito passed through, if she defeat Naruto in the finals, because they were sure that both of them were gonna make it. Then, 5 years Kumo would not bother Konoha. That was rather generous for him to leave Konoha out of everything for 5 years, but the Raikage just want that time to build Kumo military strength as strong as possible. But Minato told him that if they break this deal, Yujito would be taken by will or force of Konoha, and the man was dead serious. As the Tishikage spoke, Minato was being rather cocky despite being here with 2 people that didn't particularly like him. But it wasn't that he was being cocky, it was that he wasn't afraid of them. Yes, he was calm despite the hatred that they were sending his way. He wasn't afraid at all. Meanwhile, as Naruto faced off against some stone ninjas first, as he completely demolished them, breaking bones. It was then that he faced off against Samui. The girl was fast, but wasn't as fast as him, as Naruto took her out rather swiftly, putting her in her place because she thought that she could beat him. Both him and Yujito then made their way down there. As she came at him rather furiously, she actually hurt him, something that pissed Naruto off as Minato saw that look in Naruto's eyes. He was going off for blood. As Naruto came in ravaged, he started to obliterate her in battle, to the point where he started to beat her into the wall senselessly. If the battle didn't come to a stop, he would have decapitated her, as the proctor had stopped the match before anything drastic happened. Well, after Naruto broke both of her legs, he showed no compassion once he got hurt. He seemed to be a completely different person. Minato knew that something like this might happen, but he didn't. He won the entire tournament. And from this day on, the name Naruto Uzumaki will be known. We then had a long time skip, as Hana couldn't believe it. She was going on a mission with the Naruto Uzumaki. As she met up with him, they were tracking someone who stole something from Konoha. He was so nice. She didn't believe what people said about him, about how devilish he was. As they found the man, as Naruto told her to wait as he made his way down there, but it was a trap as he got surrounded by a lot of stone ninjas. He sighed, why do they always do this? As Naruto decided to show them why he has been feared for these couple of years, Kurasuke stood there as she watched as he mercilessly slaughtered all her men. He then burned their corpses as he walked towards her like the devil himself. He then flashed away, as it seems like he didn't want to bother to face off against her entourage that was coming. Meanwhile, Hana was shocked. She could now understand why people said those things about him. As the scene made her sick, he tear them limb from limb, without hesitation. So yeah guys, that's basically that's what I left off. You guys can switch across and please check it out for yourself. So what do you say we begin this new episode? Hana watched as Naruto appeared in front of her and picked her up with one hand, while the other hand grabbed her partner as they disappeared. Despite the both of them that he was carrying and the fighting, he ran for an hour non-stop with immense speed. Once they were deep in the border of the fire country, he stopped and placed her on the ground, her partner as well. He too sat down against a tree trunk. "Why did we run?" Hana asked. "I sense some powerful shinobi coming." "A tactical retreat was in order," said Naruto. "The mission was done anyway. There was no need to risk it." Hana nodded as she walked over to him. She knew the basics of medical ninjutsu as she let him hold out his right hand. As she saw the burn mark, not by the cut, but it was burned, not from fire, but water. She didn't ask, but she just focused and tried to close his wound. Once she was done, she asked something that has been bothering her. "Why didn't they notice me? I thought they would have when they surrounded us. When I picked you on the way, I placed a chakra suppressing seal on you. I figure it would be necessary, and I didn't want you to fight, and it would be bothersome if you got caught." Hana blinked as she just looked at him. She was sure those guys back there was not Genins or Chunins, yet he chose to take them all alone by himself. Just truly remarkable. But she was also shocked. I didn't sense it. Did he move so fast to place a seal on her and she didn't even notice? "Come on," he says. He got to his feet. He held out his right hand as she took it. She followed him from behind as they traveled back towards Konoha. As Hana watched him from behind, he certainly did not look at the person that she just saw out there in the dead field that just mercilessly slaughtered everyone with a second thought. "Given how quickly you dispatched those guys, I'm surprised that you were willing to retreat," she said. "Couldn't you have fought the coming wave as well?" she asked. "Things may have happened quickly, but I use a lot of chakra, and I don't, really, like facing the unknown. But some battles you fight, and some you avoid till another day. As a shinobi, you must know your limits. I always think about what will happen next. If I had stayed and fight, I would have exhausted more chakra, and I wouldn't have been able to carry you back. That would have put you at risk, because you can't move as fast as me." Hana nodded as she understood. As she glanced at the redhead, so this is why some of them call him Crimson Uzumaki. There were some other names though. But all she had to say, this was one hell of an experience. Time skip. Konoha, Hokage's office. Minato smiled seeing Hana back in one piece, and she didn't look disturbed even. That was a good sign. He really hoped that Naruto held back on his ways of fighting enemies in front of her. It had been a pain to hear some shinobi's request to be assigned with other people after doing a couple missions with Naruto. Not everyone could stomach the brutal deaths Naruto gave to those who he considered his enemies. As he focused on Hana, "I hope Naruto wasn't too much trouble," he said. She shook her head. "He was a gentleman," she said. "Everything went okay." Minato nodded. "Go to the next office and collect your pay. Without you, Naruto wouldn't have found the target and the mission would have ended in failure." Hana blinked at that. She was surprised, because they had yet to give the report to the Hokage. So how did he know that Naruto had succeeded and they found the target? Did the two have some sort of mental link and could speak telepathically? Seeing the look on Hana's face, Minato spoke. "We don't have anything fancy like that." She blinked in surprise. Did he read her mind? "I just know that Naruto will succeed in any mission that he is given, unless some forces are out of his control. But if everything is up to him, he will succeed." Hana glanced towards Naruto, who just looked indifferent. She shook her head as she focused on the Hokage once more. "If you'll excuse me, Hokage-sama," she said, with a small bow, as she turned to leave. Once she was gone, Minato looked towards Naruto as he spoke in a serious tone. "You may want to sit down for this." As Naruto tilted his head to the side, "Something serious," he said. Minato nodded. "You approve of a mission that was requested by the daimyo of the Land of Vegetables." Naruto nodded. The mission had requests his approval because he was acting Uzumaki clan head, and they were requesting the Uzumaki specialties. With his mother on the standby, he handled matters, but he had yet to officially step into the role as clan head. Something about reaching age 18 first. "Well," said Minato. He decided just like it out, seeing that Naruto wasn't a child anymore. The Uzumaki Sealing Corps was annihilated on their way back to the village by two members of the Akatsuki. We don't know who hired them, but I suspected it's a hidden stone. The San has had dealing with the group, but I don't think they would do anything like that. As Naruto's eyes slowly opened a bit more, as he digested what his father was saying. The future looked bleak, he said. Without the Sealing Corps, the clan loses its major contribution of income. Not only that, but this has also stripped the clan of its power. The clan just had a handful of them. His father had married into the clan, but he wasn't involved, he was a Hokage. But now that the sealing core has been taken down, that left the clan rather exposed. It was just a few of them remaining. "You look calm," said Minato. He then shook his head. When has Naruto ever released a burst of emotion? Nothing really moved the redhead these days. To get a reaction from him took a lot. This had led to many people saying that he had no emotions. Jiraiya is conducting an investigation to see who's really behind the attack. Once he has concluded, "I will leave the decision to you," said Minato. Naruto nodded. "Is there anything else?" he asked. He shook his head no. "But don't forget to submit an official mission report." "I will get it done," said Naruto as he disappeared in a swirl of flames. Minato sighed as he rubbed his face. This was a bit troublesome. Naruto was probably gonna get drunk. So by tomorrow he was gonna get some complaints. Time skip, the gravesite. As Naruto was sitting at his site, with 2 bottles of sake beside him. One was already empty, the other had yet to be opened. It was a regular scene whenever he came to this place. He always had a bottle with him. "You're really embarrassing at times," Natsumura said as he walked towards Redhead. He wasn't coming to the stone, but he come here because he saw Naruto. The Redhead never actually visited the stone of their former teammate and sensei. "That is a first," said Naruto without turning to face Natsu. Natsu was now a Jonin. "I have never been accused to be an embarrassment. Well, never to my face. When you do not smell like alcohol, you're fine. But when you become intoxicated, you become a completely different person. It doesn't really suit you," Natsu said. "And I doubt most people would say something bad right at your face. You don't have a reputation of being gentle, especially among shinobis." As Natsu shook his head, Naruto was disciplined and well-mannered when he wasn't drunk. But when he was, he became something of an embarrassment. And that didn't suit him at all. "Well, it can't be helped. I'm a little crazy after all," he said, as he pulled out a small stack of money and threw it towards Natsumura, who got it. "This month allowance." "Sent to his family," said Natsumura. As Naruto nodded, "You know, you really have to face them. They don't resent you for what happened." Naruto snorted, "Like you didn't blame me for it. If I remember correctly, you spent months cursing my name when you refused to face your own uselessness in battle. You don't have to remind me. And I already apologized for my actions. I guess when things gone awry and we don't want to admit a few things, we blame someone else to be comfort for ourselves. I blame you because I couldn't do anything, as I just watched while you fought. In any case, that is the past, and I've grown from that. That is at least something pleasant." "What is it this time?" asked Natsu. "Another slaughter. Just trying to quiet down the demons singing inside my head. They're a bit noisy this time." As Naruto got to his feet, he stumbled. Natsu caught him. "You okay?" Naruto nodded. "A little migraine," he said. "Nice talking to you, Natsu," he says. He pat him on the shoulder as he walked away. Meanwhile, at the hidden stone, Kurosaki walked into the office to deliver the report of their latest mission. She may have lost a man, but she was happy, as she found something that would be useful in the future. The hidden stone future meant more to her before anything else. She would not hesitate to take actions that will weaken other villages. "I take it the inevitable happened," said Onki, as Kurosaki walked towards his desk. She raised the eyebrow. "What do you mean by that?" "Konoha has been conserving their normal shinobi forces. If anything smell like a trap, then they don't send their normal forces. They send either Itachi or Naruto. If you come across one of the two, it's either the man that you have or defeated. Well, that's the only option." Oniki knew that it would take a lot to weaken those two. But if they did, yes, the hidden leaf would be greatly weakened. Naruto appeared, Kurosaki said. "Slaughter everyone I had. Well, I'm not too shocked. That is how he conducts his business. I'm a little disgusted though." Oniki looked towards her. "You didn't fight." She shook her head. "I was just observing, waiting for the right moment. The bastard is deadly fast. Well, they don't call him the second fastest man in Konoha behind the fourth Hokage. I did not get the chance to make a move. When the second wave appeared, he ran off without a word. Coward." "Coward?" "I say it was a smart choice to make," said Onki. "You don't win so much battles that he had by being stupid. Tell me, what have you discovered?" "Is cursed jutsu," Kurosaki said. "It is full jutsu as we expected. He used special kunai to create a field of battle. Once the field is activated, it becomes easy to feel of vision and can move freely at any place. With how fast he moves, I think it's teleportation, but it's still limited to how wide the field is that he creates. The flaw is he only seems to sense things with chakra, and things that are touching the ground. I assume that the seal is connected to his senses, and since he focused too much on it, his other senses dull. A smoke bomb was thrown at him, and he didn't notice it until it hit him. Also, he was cut by someone while in mid-air, but on the ground you can't touch him. We know that he always have a second layer of defense around him to make him untouchable while fighting. But while using that cursed jutsu of his, it seems like it's not there. And when he used those damn chains to create an execution ground, he diverted most of his chakra into them. But at the same time he leave himself open to long range attacks. Given everything we have seen, I say he's a short range fighter. There's also a time limit to how long he can keep his field activated. To defeat him we just have to stay out of his field until he steps out of it. Then we hit him with long range attacks. As much as I hate to say this, getting close to him while in that field is a suicide attempt. But now that we have discovered this, can we take him down on key axe firmly? Could they defeat him? Her smile quickly slipped away. She had been speaking confidently. She ignored the memory that made her fearful. Something wrong on Uchiha Itachi. When I look at his picture in the bingo book, I see a handsome young man. When I saw him in person, I saw a beautiful shinobi walking in grace. He really didn't seem like what some people call him. You have always said appearances can be deceiving, old man. You are right. When it comes to that person, appearances were deceiving. He is the very meaning of that word. When he stepped into battle, I couldn't feel his power. No amount of bloodlust, no killing intent. Yet he was slaughtering shinobis with precision and indifference. He looked still, cold, and deadly silent. But when he got closer to me, I felt the ominous feeling that grip my chest with fear. She paused for a moment before speaking once again. Forget my earlier regards about him being a coward when he faced me. He said that he had killed enough for one day. If that hadn't been the case, he might have fought. To answer your question, I think our strategy might make his jutsu ineffective. But defeating him, I really don't know. Later that day, as Naruto was in a dark corner, trying to intoxicate his body, to stop the nerves and actions that made him want to slaughter things. Yes, he was crazy in the head, but calming his nerves was the best thing to do. I know that I would find you here, Uncle said as she settled down beside the right head. Hannah, right beside her. Don't tell Kushina that I saw you here. She will kill me if she finds out that I didn't tell her so she can come and fetch you. Naruto did not respond to her. He simply looked towards Hannah. I didn't know that you also visited dark corners. I don't, she said. This is just for today, as she sounded a bit tipsy. You raped her mind today, Uncle said. You're not drinking today, Naruto asked. Uncle shook her head. No. I have things to do. I was coming to check out things when I found this amateur here. I just thought I'll bring her to you. You know there's some sick bastards around here, and if she gets drunk, they will take advantage of her. And I won't, Naruto asked. Uncle snorted. You never make a move. Well, you don't have to. With your looks and reputation, women just throw themselves towards you. And the nasty thing about you is, you never turn them down. Drunk, you can hit a dog if it throws itself at you. But this innocent girl won't do anything. She's too innocent after all. The next morning, slap. That was what woke Naruto up in the morning. Not a slap to his cheek, but right in his face. As he opened his eyes as he had to shut in the next second. As a painful headache slammed into him. Harder than a slap. How much did he drink last night? As Naruto slowly opened his eyes and looked at Kushina. That's a rather rude way to wake someone up. What did I do? Kushina could not believe it. She was really tired of these kind of things from Naruto. She could no longer deal with it. Was it always gonna end up like this? Every after mission there was a girl waking up beside him. When was he gonna control himself and just say no? Every girl that threw themselves at him, he always indulges. He never say no, even if it is more than one. Just hearing him ask that question, what he did, infuriated her. She really wished she had his ability to control fire at free will. She could make him burn just looking at him. It would be really happy to see him burn in the flames that he loved so much. She pointed at the side of the bed without saying a word. As Naruto tilted his head, as it was a black hair asleep next to him. Or that explain why you hate me. He then turned to face her once more. Is that all you're gonna say, Naruto? My friends are off limits. I understand Uncle waking up in your bed. I understand, woman, trying to jump into your pants. But Hannah? She's a sweet young lady. Do you know how much it's going to destroy her? She was innocent, Naruto. As Naruto got up and realized it wasn't his place. As he was naked as he started to look for his clothes. Kushina threw the clothes in his face as she picked up. Thank you, said Naruto. I don't remember bringing her here. Since this isn't my place, it is safe to say that she brought me here. I don't see the need for me to be blamed. Slap! Once again she slapped him. The only reason she got drunk is because of you. I see, he said. as he wasn't even giving off any emotions. As he spoke, Kurenai was not baffled by this. It was to be expected, she has known him for a while now, and it did not really surprise her, yet it frustrated her. When are you gonna handle your problems like a normal person, Naruto? You know, if you had learned to change, we would have still been together. But I don't think I'll reconsider my choice now. First, Uncle. Now Hana. Who's next? Uchiha? Although his eyes did not show it, his lips turned into a sad smile. Someone else wouldn't have noticed it, but Kurenai did. You make it sound like I'm trying to pursue your friends, Kurenai. I know you're not, but it doesn't change what I have to see and hear, Kurenai said. You should leave before she wakes up, and I think it will be best if you stay away from her and me. He stared at her for a few moments before he closed his eyes. His face went blank as he spoke. I see, he said. And with that he left. Uzumaki compound. As Naruto was taking some medicine at his clan studies main house. When not handling anything, sometime he comes here and also go over a few things. You're home. Izumi says she walked inside the study. I looked for you at the apartment, but you were not there. Another night in the streets. No, he says. He shook his head. But another drunk night. She shook her head. I figured that you would be out when your father told me what happened, she said. As she settled down in front of the desk, she handed him a bottle of pills, delivered from Kieri. You don't have to get drunk and do despicable things. Take one of those and they will knock you out cold. And you won't have to dream anything. He looked at the bottle as he pocketed it. Thanks, he said. Kurenai might be a bit mad at me. What is my mother saying about this Akatsuki problem, he asked. She said that she's leaving it in your hands. She isn't even worrying about her dire financial situation. Well, she can be a bit careless sometimes, said Naruto, with a shake of his head. How are you dealing with it? Asked Izumi. I'm infuriated, said Naruto. Whoever hired those dogs will pay one day. And I mean deadly. The other clans know by now. And I feel we'll be getting a few mock condolences. Well, without the Sealand Corps, our clan has taken a suicide dive off a cliff, said Izumi. The orphanage, the support program, and the academy consume a large portion of our funds. And with how things are, it won't be long before we hit rock bottom. Yoshino was insisting on creating a grade A academy that would produce great students. Since the clan operated a small academy, it meant that all costs burdened the clan. The academy was highly successful though. It was named the prestigious academy in the village. And if it wasn't that the academy hosted orphans, rich parents would be sending their kids in the academy. Maybe we should expand the academy to accommodate other children from around the village. I mean, if we're able to build another academy with the same teaching standards that we have in the compound, we could market for villagers to send their children into our academy. Everyone agreed that the current Shinobi Academy in the village is rather useless. We could make some money with it. Naruto thought about it for a while. The village would have to accredit it, but that could work. I assume other clan heads would have to agree to it, he said. We may even have to adopt some people in the clan from preventing it from going extinct. There are just about 8 young people left, and the others are old, not thinking about birth. What await them is just death. Can you be less grim when you go about it, she asks. When are you going to get married? I have no such plans. I have only shown interest in one such woman, and she dumped me. Aside from her, I have no interest in fooling around, he said. Should you really be saying that? I mean you, of all people, she asked. Yes, this is me. That drunk is another person that comes out to ease my burden. If I enjoy that kind of life too much, I would be partaking it every day in my life. In any case, you asked me about marriage. What about you? What about me, she asked. You're a delightful person, beautifully enchanting. Don't tell me that you don't have any love letters coming your way, he said. Naruto-sama, Izumi said. I am not worried about the influence of the clan, even if the Sealand Corps is no more. And it doesn't have anything to do with the fact that the 4th Hokage is a part of the clan. Do you know why? As Naruto looked at her, it is because we have you. Your other activities may have damaged your image with most of the civilians, and they prefer Itachi over you, but they still respect your power. And the Shinobi population will never dare anything against you, because they fear and respect you. I am your right hand, and of course, your bloody shadow will fall over me. What does that have to do with anything, Naruto asked. People are scared to come near me, she said. People trust you, but they know that there are lines that should never be crossed with you. I am yours, and no one won't take it away if they value their life. Naruto shook his head. I have never threatened anyone in this village, he said. People just make conclusions on what they hear. This isn't that important anyway. I won't be here tomorrow. Send my love to my sister. Where are you going? Mission. I will ask one from the Hokage and leave early tomorrow. For now, I'll go rest. Meanwhile, with Itachi. Damn it! A shinobi shouted to the group of shinobi behind him. Retreat! Itachi deactivated his Sano as the shinobis ran for their life. Itachi was not going to pursue them, there was no need for him to do so. He just had to drive them off from the goods that they were protecting. And that would be mission complete until the goods got to their destination. The Mangita Sharingan was really feared amongst the shinobis. Well, Itachi would also be cautious around the jutsu that just needed one look to take you out of the game. A single mistake in battle against someone like him and it was all over. I'm getting a bit jealous of you, Jiraiya said, stand a distance away. I mean, these days, you don't get to fight that many battles. When they see that it's Itachi, they run. And when they see that it's Naruto, they try to engage. Well, being prepared to die. Respect was now being given to the young ones and Iyasani was being seen as a relic of the past. But smart shinobis were not willing to challenge him knowing who he is. After all, he was still Jiraiya of the Sanin. Perhaps it was different because Naruto slaughters his enemies, but he sometimes let them live to fight another day. What are you doing here, Jiraiya-sama? Itachi asked. A week ago, the Uzumaki sealing core was wiped out by the Akatsuki. I just recently sent a report to Konoha. As I was busy trying to find out who hired them, I came across a member of the group. They told me they were hired by the Tishikage. Itachi narrowed his eyes. They just told you that? Yeah, I didn't even ask them. Once they confirmed it was me, and that I knew about their recent activities, they just told me. It was like they were just looking for me, just to tell me about it. Do you have a reason to doubt this information? Asked Itachi. Jiraiya shook his head no. The Hidden Stone has used the group before. This is hardly a surprise. They were also involved in the original attack against the Uzumakis. I don't know what Naruto will do when he hears about this. He can be quite vengeful at sometimes. Itachi did not deny it. He knew Naruto all too well after all. Naruto may have some screw loose, but I don't think that he will do anything. When not feeling the effects of alcohol, we think, with a responsible mind. He takes the responsibility seriously. If Itachi was saying that Naruto was not going to take any drastic measures, then Jiraiya will go with it. He's really a well-mannered and disciplined person that commands respect on his day. But while on the battlefield, he becomes something that even scares me. And we have yet to even see his full power, said Jiraiya. In any case, I think this is the first step of them trying to weaken Konoha. From what I've been able to gather, Uchihas might also be next to be attacked. Once they have weakened us enough, I think they will attack, Itachi said. I dislike war, but in this case, I think a war is the best thing that can happen for the current system of the elemental nation. Likely. And we have to win that war, said Jiraiya. I just thought I would inform you about this. Warn your father as well. As he disappeared in a burst of smoke. Clone, Itachi said. At Konoha, Mikoto looked down at the sleeping redhead. As he looked so peaceful when sleeping. Well, you couldn't go as far to say that he looked like an angel. That would be a crime against all angels. But he did take care of his skin quite well. As she leaned forward and just looked at him, as Naruto's eyes slowly opened. Good evening, Naruto, she said, not moving back. Mikoto, he said, what do you think Itachi will say if he finds us this close? Mikoto merely shrugged as she made a distance for Naruto to get up off the couch. He would probably just act like he saw nothing, she said. You would think that he's sometime emotionally crippled. That is your son you're talking about, said Naruto, as his eyes went towards the clock on the wall. Evening already. How long had he slept? Well, being cooped up in here, he did manage to avoid unnecessary talks about what happened this morning. Shouldn't you be preparing dinner for your husband? Naruto asked, as he looked towards her. Mikoto shrugged. I have prepared what Sasuke needs. Fukaku was asking about you, and he asked me to check on you. You have hardly been at the compound these days. I dislike his lectures, Naruto said. However, when I'm needed, I do go there. He shouldn't have any reason to complain. It's not like I have terminated my relationship with him in a way. I still get along with you and Itachi. That may be true, but when you think about past memories, you start to see the big difference. Izumi told me that you were here, so I brought you something to eat. And Itachi as well. I figure since you'll be returning late from his mission, he will spend the night here. Thanks, said Naruto with a smile. I don't think I've eaten anything this morning. Watch out for your health, she said. She held out a hand as he took it as she helped him up. You feel light. Walk me back to home, she said. It's late. As Naruto nodded, he figured that she wanted to talk to him about something. As they exit, Itachi was walking towards the apartment. Excellent timing, Naruto said. Itachi glanced at Naruto for a moment before he turned towards his mother. Mother, he greeted her. Itachi, she said with a smile. Glad you're back in one piece. A mother always worries when her son goes out to face dangerous situations, she said. I'll see you home tomorrow, she said. Heat up the food. I'll eat when I return, said Naruto to Itachi, as he walked off with Mikoto. Minutes later, Itachi looked at Naruto curiously, as the redhead walked towards the kitchen. Naruto was a lot closer to Mikoto than he was with Kushina. Mind you, Mikoto was his mother. Itachi had never dug deep into the relationship between Naruto and his mother. They had always had some connection he could not understood when Naruto was still a brat. Not to mention his mother was one of the handful of people that Naruto genuinely cared for. I met up with Jiraiya and he told me what happened, Itachi said. Naruto did not respond, as he prepared his plate, and he sat across from Itachi. Your clan is taking quite the knock. I know, but he's still a prestigious family that is loved by the villagers. A different thing from the past, when the people used to hate the clan for hosting the Kyuubi. Itachi could see why Yoshino called the shot even though Kushina was a clan head. She had taken orphans in the clan and built a prestigious academy that made the other clans envious. And then she pushed all the responsibilities towards Naruto, as he had to work that made sure the people were taken care of and fed. Perhaps she did to make him learn some responsibility and to get him to care about things. Either way, the good deeds of the clan did not go unnoticed, especially when Naruto started to rise. The clan gained a new light and was respected by the villagers. Prestigious, yes, but our powers are fading. I'm the only one holding it together. Well, this worked well for me anyway, said Naruto. Itachi shook his head. How displeased about the situation are you? Immensely, said Naruto. What is there to talk about? This kind of subject is making me a bit ticked off. I would rather not think about it, he said. Time skip. It has been 11 years after the Kyuubi attack, as so many people were gathered inside of the main house. Today, Naruto was officially becoming clan head, as he just turned 18, the youngest clan head in the village, hidden in the leaf. He has been acting as clan head, but today it was official, and that gave him power over the clan, more than before. If he was to be honest with himself, having so many people gathered around the compound was a bit over the top. There was no need to even celebrate. Well, he will celebrate later on the cold bottle of sake, but these people, they were not his type. They were old, and also there were some children in the room. He couldn't really be himself here. As he stood tall, his long crimson hair hanging over his shoulders, he was wearing a new trench coat with his black clothing underneath. The trench coat had no sleeve and had high collars going up. It had a black flame pattern going down the back, and the Uzumaki symbol on the back. You're not really enjoying yourself, are you? Itachi asked, as he stood beside Naruto. The redhead had his eyes closed. He opened them slightly as he responded to Itachi. Not really. I'm like my mother, in the fact that we both dislike this thing of formality. It is nothing more than a chore, and this job will get me in trouble. Trouble wouldn't mean that he would get in trouble with other clan heads. He already met almost all of them in the former years. The trouble would be the messy games that they always play, and the political games. He would rather be thrown into the battlefield than do something so troublesome. He hated the game of politics. One could never afford to be that ignorant in that kind of game. You always have to have your poker face and some aces in your hands, just in case some things come up. Aces were supposed to be handled in a battlefield, not when adults were sitting behind a table making political games. Already, he was approached by a head clan, who was already talking about the superiority of his clan. Naruto merely smiled and nodded as the man talked about his business. He listened on the key factors as he ignored the other crap. Who was the clan head again? Oh yes, it was Hayashi. At least he has been trying to clean up his act. To show that he was the head of the Uzumaki clan, he has been cleaning up his act. It wouldn't be good if they knew that the head of the Uzumaki clan was a drunk whore. Yes, because that is what happened when you get drunk, basically. Political games, Itachi said. Knowing that clan head loved to play them. They are always battling for superiority, and you're not known to be a fan of them. You will have to be careful from now on though. If people have not found dirt on you, they will be watching your every move. That's what I hate, Naruto said, a tired sigh. The only thing I fear is some girl going over to my father telling him that she's expecting a young Uzumaki. That would ruin my image, Naruto said calmly. Itachi snorted. Not like you have a good image in that area. You have ruined it already. And even though you have been quiet, people will not forget that easily. But you do have your fans. So do you, said Naruto. This has been a lousy day. Well, I can't say I've not gotten drunk in some time since Izumi has started to drug me to sleep. How about we get something to drink later? She has not been drugging you. No one is forcing you to take those pills. And we can't get drunk because we have a mission later on, Itachi said. Oh yes, said Naruto. I almost forgot about that. I will also need to watch my movements from now on. My mother has been persistent about the image that I reflect on the clan. Uzumakis weren't the most loved by the shinobi enemies, just because he did not have the fleon sight on his forehead. Enemies loved to come after him, thinking that they could take his head. He crushed all of those who tried to have a say in how long he had to live. Just be careful what you say, Itachi said. You might have the Uchihas at your back, but you don't want to piss off other clan heads. There's no need to worry, said Naruto. Although I hate this game, I know how to play it. I just hate how taxing it is, he said, as he walked away. We'll talk after, he said. Itachi merely watched him go. Itachi-san. As Itachi looked to his right, as Izumi walked up to him, the former teen has turned into a beautiful woman. How many times has he heard people complimenting her beauty and her grace? Izumi-san, he said. You have dressed for the occasion. As he looked at the traditional kimono. It's a big occasion even though Naruto-sama doesn't act like it is, she said. I should be worried about the future of our clan with him in charge. But I'm not, she said. Itachi understand that Naruto hated being responsible. But it didn't have anything to do with his job. Whenever it came towards his duty, he always got everything done. I'm sure he will do his best for the clan. He just needs to stop being careless with his behavior. It won't be good for the image of the clan if Naruto continues the way that he has been living. Izumi nodded. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a great shinobi, our image would be intact by now. Well, at least he has been quiet. But people don't forget that easily. Most shinobis do not really matter because they thought that he was just coping with the things that he had to do out there in the battlefield. People coped in different ways after all. Izumi had made a good move by giving him those drugs. Naruto gave me this, she said, and she gave Itachi a scroll. What is it? Itachi asked. He suspected Naruto did not give it to himself because he didn't want the eyes of the people to be focused on them. And besides, it was not a problem between the Uzumaki's and Uchiha relationship, and it wasn't a secret to anyone. So why? A contract with the military police force. You do know that Naruto has been handling clan matters since the year began, right? She asked as Itachi nodded. Your father requested him to draft an agreement between the clans on some sale of some seals. I will name one. Chakra Suppression Seal. Itachi nodded as he pocketed the scroll. The clan made money through selling seals. It was their specialty and no one could take that crown from them. They sold explosive tags and other harmless seals to the merchants and the villagers and other villages. High-ranked seals demanded a rather hefty fee. And the Uzumakis were rather secretive on the formers of their work. After all, why would you give away your secrets if you could make something that everyone want? I will make sure my father get this, Itachi said to Izumi. She nodded as she bowed slightly as she walked away. As Itachi watched her walk away, Mikoto walked up to him. She's a delightful girl, isn't she? Itachi looked at his mother for a moment. Before looking away, he really didn't really like having these kind of talks with his mother. She did bother him about it, and his father had mentioned it once. Naruto said so, Itachi said. Naruto knows when a girl is nice. Even though we're not allowed to marry outside the clan, we can make compromise for you, especially since you're a male. You can say it is done to strengthen the ties of the Uzumakis, like how the Senjus did it back then. Itachi looked at his mother. Was she suggesting that she organize a marriage between him and Izumi? What was the woman thinking? He wasn't thinking about such a thing. But even though she wasn't an Uchiha, if she was married by a Uchiha, she would give birth to a Uchiha child that was capable of awakening the Sharingan, so there will be no fears of the blood dying away. The Uchiha blood was dominant, so it would dominate the Uzumaki genes, and the child would resemble the child of Uchiha. Naruto wouldn't appreciate that, Itachi said. He can be reasoned with. I'm not getting any younger, you know. I want to see grandchildren before I die. Kushina will see one soon enough. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few at the end of the year. Well, Itachi couldn't help but agree with that. Not no, mother, he said as he walked away. Mikoto sighed. An arranged marriage will do, she said. Don't say things like that in public, Kushina said as she walked up to her friend. You know some people can read lips, and I'm not sure Itachi would approve. My son would certainly refuse if I arrange one for him, Kushina said with a frown. At least he's out there. I blame Jiraiya for that, said Kushina. But at least I don't have to worry about having grandkids. He is not setting a good example on his sister though. I wonder what she has seen in his place, that she no longer goes there as much as she used to. Meanwhile, with Naruto. Naruto was in the presence of Nara, Shikaku, and Hayashi, with the two of them presenting their ears. This is my youngest daughter, Hanabi. The young girl bowed slightly as she spoke. A pleasure to meet you, Uzumaki-sama, she said. Naruto merely smiled. She wore the expression that made him itch, the usual Hyuga look. He was already made aware of the story, that the girl that he had saved was too weak. So her younger sister had been taken over as the heir of the clan, politics of the Hyuga clan. But Naruto didn't concern himself about that. A pleasure to meet you too, princess, he said. Hanabi tried to look into his eyes, but he did not open them fully. I was hoping to see the girl I saved. How is your older sister? A small smile appeared on the girl's lips, a small one, before it vanished. She's fine. She sent her thanks. Tell her she can give her thanks in person. I would be more than willing to make time to see her, said Naruto. Hanabi looked like she was trying to get permission from her father. I will pass on the message, she said. Isn't she a bit too young, Shikaku said, a bit purposefully, as Naruto laughed. I haven't seen her to say so, said Naruto, as he got a heatful look from Hayashi, as he laughed once again. I'm joking, Hayashi-san, he said. I will admit the young ones are growing a bit too quickly. Didn't you as well, Shikaku asked. Well, the man was right. Naruto had his first kill when he was 7. And he went into the Civil War when he was 12. He entered that battlefield along with his father. He watched his father shed blood of many within seconds, and he had shed hundreds of blood as well, with his own jutsu. He has grown too fast for him to have more than 100 kill under his belt. It was not normal. Even if it was time of war, it was not normal. You got me there, said Naruto. I do feel like a 40-year-old man though. Experience has not been lacking. After all, some people who actually reach age have not yet experienced the things I have. You had a lot to deal with, Hayashi said. Your behavior outside of your shinobi life though has been rather despicable. And your reason is not a valid reason to live in the way you do, said Hayashi. But your work has been nothing short of miraculous. If you didn't do these despicable things, you'd be a role model to other children. I'm not a fan of the Uchihas, but I understand why parents praise you and love you for your role as a shinobi. But when it comes to as a role model, they pick Itachi-san. And I would follow the same path as well, said Hayashi. That was the greatest form of disrespect for a Hyuga to speak highly of a Uchiha and saying that he would add a Uchiha as a role model of his children. Yet even so, Naruto simply smiled. I will take the compliment, Hayashi-san. As troublesome as it is to get control over certain things, I will try to be better. Well, not that you need to hear that anyway. As Naruto kneeled down to face the young boy in front of Shikaku, I would rather you take the criticism as well. And don't go anywhere near my daughter, Hayashi said. I've never been accused of being a pedophile. And what would that make me if I'm chasing girls my own age? I don't go around chasing after women, Naruto said. There's a saying, good and bad are just two faces of the same coin. It makes sense when you look at it this way. We're all humans. We all have good and bad. Whether corrupted or pure, we're humans. A flip of the coin, a pure heart can turn into an impure heart. It all takes just a second, a minute. One experience and everything changes. Some people choose to follow the line, and some people choose to follow the principle of your heart. Which is wrong and which is right, no one knows. The law is the one that is right, Hayashi said, and that should be followed. When we do not follow the law, we're ungoverned, and we will only act uncivilized. The law is both right and wrong, said Naruto, and our own principle is both right and wrong. Do you know why? He asked. Shikamaru was looking at the face in front of his. It gave him a rather cold feeling. The fact that he couldn't see the eyes behind those eyelids, it gave him a cold feeling. They were not fully closed, they were open just barely, but yet he could not see. Shikamaru realized that Naruto was asking him. He shook his head no. The law was created by the people who were guiding themselves by their own principles. The law isn't always correct. It is not flawless and perfect, said Naruto. The same can be said about our principles. Sometimes we will do the wrong thing, and yet sometimes we will do the right, Nara said. As Naruto smiled, he stood up. How very like a Nara, he said. Shikamaru, am I correct? Yes, Shikamaru said. He figured the only reason why someone like Naruto knew his name is because he heard it from his younger sister. Shikaku smiled. Despite everything, Naruto was a smart person. Thank you for coming, Shikaku-san, said Naruto as he turned. Follow me. I have been told that we have business with the Hyuga. As the both of them made their way, as he followed Naruto towards the next room. The walls were paper thin, but yet they couldn't hear a single sound come from the other room, as they sat across from him. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but can we hurry this up? I have another meeting right after, said Naruto, and I need to rest afterwards. I have another meeting later on, and I need to rest, for later I have to leave the village. Hayashi nodded. I understand, he said. We had an agreement with your mother about the cage bird seal. There has been a little amount of animosity between the main and the branch family. Naruto was tempted to ask how he would feel if he was played the puppet because he was born a second later than his twin. But he didn't want to make problems with the Hyuga, so he kept his mouth shut about that. So I've heard, he said. Then he asked. You must know the deal, Hayashi said. Even though you were still young, you were there when we discussed it. I was not listening to anything that was being said that day, said Naruto calmly. But I did look into the deal. I must ask though, is it simply the animosity? Or something changed your mind about the way that you conduct your clan matters? Hayashi seemed to think about it for a moment. He then spoke. The Hyuga clan has business, interests in different places. We have treaties with other clans outside this village, but recently it has been hard to do business Some people value blood and family before everything, and the treatment of the branch family had become more public. We're even losing face in this village as well. Some villagers are looking at us with contempt over the relationship. Naturally, this is causing our report to decline and hurting our image. Naruto stared at the man. I thought you would say something like you want things to be different between you and your brother. Despite everything, you are twins. Uzumakis have their way of dealing with business. Doesn't matter though. We will have to create a new agreement. What? We already have a signed agreement, Hayashi said. That was with the previous clan head, said Naruto. But guys, we'll be in subs right here. If you want to see next part, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. Remember to share all of your friends in social media platform. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.